So in this video, we're going to figure out how to load an existing spreadsheet into the quickbase program. So Dale was kind enough to send me a spreadsheet. So anytime you're trying to import a spreadsheet, you're going to start with the spreadsheet itself. And in this case, it was a list of Walgreens sites. And you're going to have to format the spreadsheet so that there's not really any gaps in data. And then, as you can see, I'm doing that now. So ideally, before you try to import, you'll have done this, and then it's less steps. Okay, so I think we're all set. The only other thing is then you're going to have to take your spreadsheet in, it's currently an Excel file. You're going to have to save it as a different type of file, and you're going to save it as a CSV file, this comma delimited file. Once you save it as that type of Excel file, now you're able to import the data all at once into the database without having to type in all these various projects. So let's go to QuickBase. I have this this demo site set up, and in fact I'm going to make a copy of the Vomela database so you can see how entering this will go. So here's the Vomela database. I'm going to go to Settings, and I'm just making a copy for our demonstration purposes. Here we go. I'm going to copy the app. This will just let me do stuff on here that won't affect anybody else. So I'm going to not copy all the users, not copy the data. Okay, so now we're at the point where we want to import our data from our spreadsheet. So we're going to go to the More button here, and there's going to be an option to import export. I'm going to click on that, and I'm looking to import into a table from a file. So I'm going to click that button. It's going to go in projects, and it could go in any one of these various modules. Depending on where you want to put the data, but in this case we're gonna choose projects, and then you have to find the file. So our file was a Walgreens file. Here it's as a CSV file. We're going to select that, open, and then we're going to click import. So what QuickBase tries to do on any kind of Excel spreadsheet when you're importing it is align your category. You'll recall the spreadsheet had various categories of the data: store number, address, city, state, zip. QuickBase is going to try to use those headers and line them up to an existing field. That means essentially a data category that already exists in QuickBase. So we already have a field called store numbers in QuickBase, and your spreadsheet you're importing has store numbers. So in this case, the data set is the same category. If it's not the same category, say instead of store numbers, we wanted to call it site locations, then you'd have to create a new field and call it whatever you want to call it. But in this case, we're trying to just line it up to the way we track other projects. So the store number field is an existing field. Another existing field is the address. So I believe in the database there's more than one address field. There's address for projects, and there's also addresses for shipping, I believe. So ship to information. So depending on where you want this to show up, when you import it, is going to affect which field you want this new data to drop into automatically. So for demonstration purposes, we're just going to pick what it picked. Same with the city and same with the state. So far so good. Our spreadsheet lines up with field categories that we already have. So this will make importing pretty seamless. Same thing, we have a field for zip. Survey type, we do have a field for survey type, so that'll go right in there. VPMs as well. I know one thing to notice is I don't in QuickBase now, for instance, on this spreadsheet it says rich 1, but you'll notice we probably only have the project manager listed as rich, not rich 1. So the computer doesn't really know the I guess the difference between Dale-4 and Dale. The human person knows that that's meant to be the VPM Dale. So you want to be careful when you're importing your data that things like this are kind of corrected for a computer interpreting this data. Otherwise, it's going to make a new Vomela project manager called Katrina 3, and you're right, that's not going to work well. So another thing you can do when this kind of stuff happens is you can just go back after the fact and kind of delete all the Dale 14s and Katrina 3s and Clyde 2s, because those aren't really any different project manager than Dale, Katrina, or Clyde. So in this case, I'm going to import it still, but you could choose not to import it if you notice that the data isn't accurate, and go back after the fact and put it in. But we'll just fix the ones that are affected here. And then all these other fields in our spreadsheet were blank. So, do you really want to import the blank into to the existing field? I just put no, because every once in a while in the spreadsheet it's like a question mark or a semicolon, and there's no point saving that data. So once I click on these to not import, and now I'm all set, import. So all of that data went into the project. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the project screen is only looking for open projects. So all those projects we just imported didn't have any indication about the status of what these projects are, whether they were open or closed. So when you're importing new data, you're going to have to add that to your spreadsheet just so your projects wind up showing up, right? Because now, even though we imported all that, because projects are only looking for open projects, none of our things that we imported appear. So we will have to go back and put all those in and try it again.